This is a story about finding peace in the present moment. It's about breaking free from the grip of the past and the anxiety of the future. The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle reveals how living fully in the present can transform our lives, bringing clarity, joy, and deep inner peace. At its core, The Power of Now is a spiritual guide. Tolle argues that our constant identification with the mind is the root of all suffering.
You can't imagine how many people's lives are made miserable by a very unhappy story in their head that they identify with and call it my life.
By learning to step out of the endless chatter of our thoughts, we can reconnect with the present moment and experience a sense of profound freedom. Tolle begins the book with a simple but powerful realization: you are not your mind. He explains that most of us are so caught up in our thoughts that we mistake them for who we are.
That the whole thing that you call my life is certain thoughts that float around in your head, and people don't realize how much unhappiness is derived from what they're telling themselves in the head. Now, these people need to come out of that if they want to be free.
But the mind is just a tool, and true awareness lies in the space beyond thinking. Through mindfulness and presence, Tolle teaches us how to break free from this mental prison and embrace the now. What's one thing that often pulls you out of the present moment? Let us know in the comments. The core teachings. Tolle's book is built around a few core ideas that challenge the way we experience life. Let's explore these teachings and how they can help us find freedom in the now. The problem of psychological time.
Do you want to suffer more? No. Okay, are you ready to step out of the narrative in your mind that says my life and realize that you don't have a life? That the whole thing that you call my life is certain thoughts that float around in your head and you identify with them? You don't have a life. You are life.
One of Tolle's key teachings is the difference between clock time and psychological time. Clock time is practical. It helps us schedule appointments or plan activities. But psychological time is living in the past or future, and it's a trap. Tolle explains that constantly reliving past regrets or worrying about the future pulls us out of the present, where life actually happens. Nothing ever happens in the past or the future, he says. Life is always now. By becoming aware of this distinction, we can learn to use clock time without becoming enslaved by psychological time. For example, you can plan for tomorrow while still being fully present today. The ego and its illusions. Tolle introduces the concept of the ego, which he defines as the false self created by the mind. The ego thrives on comparison, attachment, and the need for control, constantly seeking validation and avoiding discomfort. This mental construct causes much of our suffering. For instance, the ego clings to past identities or fears, losing its status in the future. But Tolle reminds us that the ego isn't real. It's a story we tell ourselves. To break free, Tolle encourages us to observe the ego without judgment. By simply noticing its patterns, we weaken its hold on us and reconnect with our deeper, truer selves. What's one way your ego tries to control your life? The pain body. One of Tolle's most impactful ideas is the concept of the pain body. This is the emotional energy we carry from unresolved past experiences.
You don't have a life. They are just memories and thoughts in your head, yes. But the life that you are can only be realized in the present moment. And in the present moment, the first realization comes to you when you realize that there can be gaps between thoughts.
Tolle explains that the pain body feeds on negative emotions and often seeks conflict to sustain itself. For example, when you find yourself overreacting to a small frustration, it's often the pain body at work. The pain body is not who you are, Tolle writes. It's an old energy pattern that can be dissolved by the light of your presence. By staying present and aware during moments of emotional pain, we stop feeding the pain body and begin to heal. The power of presence. Tolle's central message is that true freedom lies in presence. When we stop identifying with our thoughts and emotions, we discover a state of peace that exists beyond the mind. But how do we access this state? Tolle offers practical tools for cultivating presence. 1. Focus on the breath. Paying attention to your breathing anchors you in the present moment. 2. Observe your thoughts. Watch them without judgment, like clouds passing in the sky. 3. Feel your body. Bring your awareness to the sensations in your body to ground yourself in the now. The present moment is all you ever have, Tolle says. Make the now the primary focus of your life. What's one way you practice staying present in your daily life? Overcoming resistance. Tolle acknowledges that the mind resists presence. The ego thrives on distractions and stories about the past and future. It doesn't want you to live in the now. One common form of resistance is overthinking. The mind might tell you, I'll be happy when, or if only things were different. Tolle calls this the illusion of salvation in the future. Real salvation is not somewhere in the future, he says. It's realizing the now is enough. When resistance arises, Tolle advises us to simply observe it without engaging. By staying present, we can dissolve resistance and reconnect with the peace of the now. The gateway to inner peace. Tolle explains that presence isn't just a mental exercise, it's a gateway to inner peace. When we fully embrace the now, we let go of judgment, expectation, and attachment, allowing us to experience life as it is.
Are we regressing when I present to you the possibility of discovering within yourself the possibility of stepping out of thought?
This doesn't mean ignoring problems or avoiding responsibilities. Instead, it's about approaching life with acceptance and non-resistance. For example, if you're stuck in traffic, instead of getting angry, you can use the moment to practice mindfulness. Whatever the present moment contains, accept it as if you had chosen it. Tolle advises, this is the secret to inner peace. How could you bring more acceptance to a challenging situation in your life? The timeless self. Tolle challenges us to go beyond the mind and connect with what he calls the timeless self. This is the part of us that exists beyond thoughts, emotions, and identities. The pure awareness that observes everything. When we connect with this deeper self, we realize that we are not defined by our circumstances or the roles we play. You are the awareness behind your thoughts, Tolle says, not the thinker. This realization brings profound freedom. It allows us to experience life with openness and curiosity, unburdened by fear or attachment, living in the now. One of the most inspiring messages of the power of now is that living in the present isn't just a spiritual practice, it's a practical one. Tolle shows us how presence can improve our relationships, enhance creativity, and even reduce stress. For example, when you're fully present with a loved one, you listen more deeply and connect more authentically. When you approach a task with mindfulness, you perform it with greater focus and joy. All creativity arises in the present moment, Tolle explains. When you're fully here, life flows effortlessly. What's one area of your life where presence could make a difference? The eternal now. In The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle offers more than a guide to mindfulness. It's a roadmap to freedom. He invites us to step out of the chaos of the mind and into the peace of the present moment. Tolle's message is simple but profound. Life happens now, and the more we live in the now, the more alive we become. Realize deeply that the present moment is all you ever have, he says, and make it your home. This book isn't about escaping reality, it's about embracing it fully. By practicing presence, we discover the joy, peace, and meaning that have been within us all along. What's one insight you learned from The Power of Now? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more great ideas.